Hello and welcome to yet another installment of the critically acclaimed and now highly viewed RepTV. I'm the RepTV co-host Paul Marchand here with Mr. Repman himself, Steve Cody. And in between us we have Dr. Baseball joining us one more time, Wayne McDonald. You can tell me your official title now. I know it's changed from New York University.
I am now the academic chair of the sports management program at the Tisch Sports Institute.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us, Wayne.
Thank you.
You came at a critical time. Mets are one win away from making the World Series for the first time since 2000. Steve, you are a Mets fan. You're on cloud nine.
I'll be on 9 when they finish off the Cubs.
Okay, never say never, right? But before we jump into the Mets themselves, New York, Chicago playing a series right now. Baseball is always a sport that's talking about ratings and popularity. Has this positively affected the sport? The fact that New York and Chicago are in a playoff series together, never minding Toronto and Kansas City on the other side.
I think this really should be considered the World Series when you think about it because of the storylines. You can't go anywhere without reading a story about Murphy and the Mets, and there's so many different variations of the Cubs curse with the Murphy name, and the Mets and the magic of the pitching staff this year, and all these wonderful things. But also too, it's New York, Chicago, and the history and tradition. I think this is going to be better than the World Series. No matter who the Cubs or the Mets play, I just think this is what Major League Baseball wanted because of the storylines, the managers involved, the organizations involved. There's just a lot of rich things to go with here.
So following up on that, does that pose a negative for the World Series then? I mean, the fact that this is, like in your words, like the real World Series, if the Mets end up playing the Royals or the Blue Jays, I mean, does that negatively impact what the popularity of the sport will be when the World Series comes?
I think you have to consider it. If you're looking at the television ratings compared to the Mets-Cubs series to the Royals and the Blue Jays series, there's a big difference. But also, to look at when the games are being played. A lot of the Royals, Blue Jays games are being played during the day, while the Mets and Cubs are getting the prime time slot. I think that has a lot to do with it, but also the cast of characters that we're seeing in this Cubs-Mets series, because there's a lot of the future of the game of baseball there, where the Blue Jays are built to win now, where the Royals are going to be one of those teams that are going to be around for a while, with the infusion of youth. So I think there's more interest with the Cubs and Mets for a wide variety of reasons.
Got it. I wanted to, if I may, ask a question we didn't tell you we were going to ask, but we love to throw curveballs at Dr. Baseball.
Pun intended.
So we just see a preponderance, 6'5", 200-pound pitchers who are throwing 97, 98, 99 miles an hour just across the board. And there's been a debate, are they doing this so that they can just get 6 incredible years back to back to back? And if they blow out their arms, they blow out their arms, as opposed to the, quote, old way of pitching, which would be to pace oneself, to go 20 years, win 300 games, etc. What's your view on that?
That's a great question on so many different levels. I think the first way to approach it is where these players get drafted. They get drafted out of high school or college. That has a lot to do in terms of the stress on the arm, for instance. One stat the other night that blew me away was with Noah Syndergaard. At this past season, he threw 1,052 pitches over 97 miles per hour. That's just astonishing when you look at it. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think it's mechanics. I think it's your agent. If you've had the ulnar collateral ligament surgery, aka the Tommy John operation, and the fallacies that go with it, that you come back stronger and all of this stuff, I think that has a lot to do with it. But also, too, when you look at a qualifying offer for a free agent in Major League Baseball right now being $15.8 million, you cannot deny the money in the game right now. But I also think a lot of this really was exacerbated by the Matt Harvey, Scott Boras situation with the innings limits and his recovery from surgery.
Now, ask a question about the Mets. They're the talk of the town. They're the toast of the town, and I have never seen so much attention on the Mets in my lifetime, at least, or as far as I can remember. You mentioned in your Forbes article that the Mets will likely see an influx of over $45 million in revenues if they make it to the World Series, and that they're likely to see an increase in home attendance up to 17% next year. Is this really a long-term effect? I mean, the team is good now. Do you really see these numbers coming to fruition, and will they actually continue in the long term?
Well, I think the $45 million figure came out of the New York Post article from last week, and they did a good job of kind of breaking everything down. I put in the 17.64% because I'm looking at the Mets attendance increasing 3 million. Okay, they were about 2.7 this year. I say, I'm sorry, about 2.5, 2.6. I see them easily clearing an additional 500,000 fans coming in. And the trend that you normally see is the season after you have that great season, that's when people are buying. And if you notice, I can't tell you how many emails I've received from the Mets already, season ticket packages for 2016. So I do believe in that. I think the Mets are really built for the foreseeable future to be an excellent ball club. I was of the belief that it wouldn't happen this year. I thought it was going to be next year with all the health of the pitchers and everything, but God, they're surprising everyone in that regard. But I do believe that next year, Citi Field's going to be a very hot ticket because of what the Mets are currently doing and what they're on the cusp of doing probably tonight.
Let me hit you with a screwball question. The Chase Utley, Ruben Tejada incident, which Utley went in really hard and broke Tejada's leg. I saw that as old-time baseball. I saw that as the way the game used to be played. It seemed to become a big, big issue. I'm curious what your take on it is.
It was funny, I actually did a piece for Forbes on it where they asked me to pull video clips of 5 episodes in baseball history. And I immediately thought of Pete Rose and Ray Fosse in the World Series. I thought of Pete Rose, Bud Harrelson in 1973 in the NLCS. And Willie Randolph and Hal McRae at second base. If you look at those slides, they're pretty vicious in the way they looked and the way they appeared. I think here was a couple of things. One was Chase Utley really making an attempt to touch second base. Second, it was a late slide. But third, also, this hasn't been penalized in the game. This kind of goes back to that thin line between being aggressive and being dirty. And I think Utley straddled the line depending upon who you root for.
Well, they made a rule for catches after the Buster Posey incident. Are they going to make a rule for middle infielders?
It wouldn't surprise me because if you're looking at it right now, the thought process that you want to be as a runner going in to break up a foreseeable double play is to disrupt the footwork of the middle infielder. And that doesn't mean you're going to go take the infielder out and send them into center field or to left field. It's disrupt the footwork. And we saw protection with Buster Posey. It wouldn't surprise me to see protection going forward as a result of this because I think Commissioner Manfred's very cognizant of this situation.
Right. Now, star power is always a question. A lot of people felt that because Buster Posey was a megastar, that his injury meant more, and that's why baseball did more to make that change. Ruben Tejada, not so much a megastar as Buster Posey.
Wait a second.
But will it take a Troy Tulowitzki or Robinson Cano getting injured in a play like that for a change to be made?
I don't think so. I just think this was so heightened because it could go either way, but I think it alerted people that, okay, these things are happening, the game has evolved, you have protection for catchers, why isn't there going to be protection for the middle infielders? But also, too, the runner, its intent and purpose is always at least to have contact with the base. We didn't see that with that play where Utley was reaching his arm, and it was a late slide. So there's a lot of things going into it, and he's probably going to be facing a suspension to begin the 2016 season.
I want to throw a changeup. This is a changeup. 78-mile-an-hour changeup, which is very slow.
I'm waiting for the knuckleball, but not.
Okay. And I think we addressed this once before, but minorities in baseball. It strikes me that it's still a predominantly white, Latin, somewhat Asian, and obviously 8-9% whatever black game. Do you see any change in terms of young black players coming into the sport, or are we just going to see, the Latin white ratio just be a 50-50 type of thing?
I really hope it does. I think right now that is a serious problem within the game. It has been since the 70s, because the 70s were when we were seeing some peak numbers with regard to that. I hope that Commissioner Manfred's Play Ball initiative really starts to get into the urban communities and really preach the importance of playing the game and the opportunities. And I also think that you look at it from a perspective that you have people like Lorenzo Cain and players that are now really coming up. Curtis Granson, who can be a better role model in that regard. seeing them on the stage excelling and being the class acts and the gentlemen that they are as the role models. But I also think too it's about the right people investing into the urban communities and really getting this game moving in the positive direction. I think Commissioner Manfred is committed to that.
Now going back to the superstar issue, and this question I think is really important as well. Do you need a mega superstar? You mentioned names like Lorenzo Cain. He had a great postseason last year. Curtis Granson, great ball player, but do you need somebody that's like a Barry Bonds or like an Andrew McCutchen? Andrew McCutchen tastes the postseason. He doesn't get to the World Series, so there's not as much attention that's placed on him. Do you really need somebody like that in order to spike the interest in the African American community?
I think you mentioned Andrew McCutchen, who's probably one of the best role models in the game right now, and what the Pirates are doing. The Pirates are raising their profile in so many different ways, and Major League Baseball has done a phenomenal job of promoting Andrew McCutchen in its marketing campaigns. It really starts there. It really starts to letting fans know that these are extraordinary people, that are extraordinarily talented, and to get the message out. But it really comes back to dollars and cents and investing in the communities that this game is so important to.
Final question from me. A-Rod. So he behaved himself. He was a pure team player this year. Yankee fans seem to have totally forgotten about the past.
Like he did really well.
Well, I know. So does a player's performance today negate all of the wrongdoing of the past?
Looks like it does. I think if it weren't for Alex Rodriguez's performance throughout the majority of the past season, the Yankees wouldn't have had that one-game playoff. And I also think he did a very good job of trying to mend fences. The dicey area was about that home run milestone and the bonus, and to donate it to charity and to way that the Yankees and him worked together, said that okay, we can get past this. And also when Commissioner Manfred came out and said he served his time, we move on. That was like the cue to say we're on this one.
I'd love to wrap, as I always do, by putting Dr. Baseball on the spot.
Predictions.
We are deep into the championship series. Who is going to win the World Series?
Wow. See, my initial prediction at the beginning of the season was Dodgers Mariners, and you see how well that went. I'll say the Mets out in the National League. I think that they'll close it out. If they don't do it tonight, they'll do it in the next couple of days. And it looks like the Royals, after the beating that they gave the Blue Jays, like I said before, there's some magic dust on the Mets this year, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's a Mets-Royals World Series, Mets in 6.
Mets in 6. You heard it here first.
Citi Field celebrating Game 6 then.
Exactly.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Wayne, for your time. We really appreciate it, and thanks everyone for joining us on RepTV.